Bonjour mes amis, welcome back to the Armchair Linguist YouTube channel. It's been a while since I've done a video. There's been a lot of life happening. I wanted to have a little chat today about something that's really helped my progression in French. Um, for a long time, for 6 months at least, my progress in French has been pretty much stagnant. When I started studying French in earnest, um, I wanted so badly to be able to consume the great works of French literature. And so, the first Christmas after I started studying French, um, I got some books, um, just some light reading like The Count of Monte Cristo, Le Petit Prince, which actually is kind of light reading now, Candide by Voltaire, and then the one that I was really excited about, The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. So a couple months ago, I was thinking about why can't I read these books? And everybody that I've talked to about this are just like, well, they're just too hard for you. You need to go simpler and simpler. And so then I'd go too far in the other direction. I'd pick up like one of the picture books that I bought for my 4-year-old daughter that's in French, and that was just too simple and it was boring. And I have fun reading it to her, but to just read it myself, that's not what I want to do. But I started thinking about like, um, how did I personally get from picture books to great works of literature in English? Um, how did I go from Clifford the Red Dog to Lord of the Rings? There was a period of time between like third and fourth, maybe third and fifth grade, where the complexity of the books that I was reading increased a lot. Um, and I remember how that progression went because I was really, really enjoying the reading that I was doing. And the way it went was like this. I remember a friend of mine had this book that that had Goosebumps written on it, and I was like, "Hey, what's that book about?" And he said, "Oh, it's a scary book, but it's so good, you should totally read it." So I went and I checked out a Goosebumps book, and um, and I got hooked. Like those books are made for third, fourth graders, which is like 8 to 10 years old, 11 years old. They're simple to read. They're scary enough for a third or fourth grader without being like too much. This isn't Stephen King. This is a predictable, formulaic plot. Every chapter ends in a cliffhanger, and most of the cliffhangers are just like, scary thing. Oh, it's just your sister. Um, to pick one of these books up in English now as an adult, they would be boring and derivative, and I could read it in like 2 seconds. Um, but as a third grader, it was exactly the level that I needed. But in thinking about this, Goosebumps was the first step that went there. And so I was thinking, man, wouldn't it be nice if I had like the French version of Goosebumps? Is there like a French equivalent to Goosebumps? And so I did some searching and I found that Goosebumps has been translated into French, and Norwegian, and a whole bunch of different languages. It's like Harry Potter. Like Harry Potter has been translated into like 75 different languages officially, and a handful of other ones unofficially. Um, in French, they're called Chair de Poule. And so I bought a Goosebumps book on my Kindle. The first one that I bought was called Les Maisons du Mur, which I said that last word weird, but it's the House of the Dead. The English title is Welcome to Dead House. So I got this book in French, Les Maisons du Mur, and I read it, just like on my breaks at work and at lunchtime. And I finished the book in about a week and a half. And this was really exciting because I think that's about how long it would take me to read. It would have taken me to read a Goosebumps book when I was in third grade. So I learned two things just from that. Like, I can read French at the same speed that I could read English in third grade. That's cool. I'm also right at a third or fourth grade reading level in French. And that really was the game changer. Um, because even Harry Potter is just a little bit too hard for me. The Three Musketeers was out of my range, like out of my ballpark. Don't even try. Um, but then, the kids' books that I have in French are too easy, and Goosebumps was the middle ground. The other thing about reading Goosebumps that was really cool is that I actually enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't predictable for me, especially this one that I had never read. Like, I didn't see where the plot was going, and part of that might be because I was having to use a lot more brain power on understanding the language than with like predicting how the plot was going. But it was really enjoyable, and I had a great time reading it. And I finished it, and I bought another one. The second one that I bought is one that I did read when I was in third grade. The French version is called Le Malédiction de la Momie, The Curse of the Mummy. Um, and this one brings back some nostalgic memories for me reading it in French. Like, the main character has this like necklace that he wears that has like a tiny shriveled mummified hand on it, which is like weird and creepy. And like, why you're like an 11-year-old kid, why do you have that around your neck? Why did your parents let you buy that? But it's been really good. Life got busy again, so I haven't finished that one yet. But it's been a game changer for my French because French prose, just like English prose, is predominantly in past tense. Gandalf sealed the door in Moria. Everything that a character does. Katniss shot her bow. Even if it's in first person, a lot of times it's like just past tense. So so the advantage to reading French books, French stories and novels is that you learn so much about how the past tense works, how the simple past tense works versus the passé composé, how to express ideas in the past tense. I'm also learning a lot of colloquialisms and idioms. Like, in the first Goosebumps book that I read, it was the first time that I heard the phrase jeter un coup d'huile, which is like to throw a glance or to look somewhere real quick. The key thing is you have to find your correct reading level. If you try and dive into you know Alexander Dumas or Victor Hugo, it's not fun. So it's important to find your correct reading level in your target language, because if you start too high, you're just going to burn yourself out. If you start too low, you're going to get bored. I mean, there's a reason that children's books exist, right? Like, you don't go into first grade and your teacher isn't like, okay, kids, this week we're going to study Macbeth. You know, we don't give kindergarten and first graders Shakespeare. Likewise, we don't give high schoolers the Berenstain Bears. Like, reading level is a thing, and the teachers that I work with at my elementary school spend a lot of time and energy figuring out where each kid's reading level is. Finding what my actual reading level in French is has been amazing. Like, I've found the joy of understanding a foreign language again. Like, here I am reading a story in French, and it's not too difficult for me. I do have to look up some words, but I had to look up words in third grade too. So you know, it's just, if you're a person who loves reading and loves reading fiction, I would highly suggest you take the time to really tune in what your actual reading level in your target language is, because if you can start to access the fiction of your target language, it'll increase your enjoyment of learning so much, and learning won't be so much of a chore because you're going to be reading a book that you like anyway, you know. The learning that I've done about past tense and French and stuff has been like, it's been very active learning because I'm reading a book, but it's felt passive because I'm having such a good time doing it, right? And having a good time is important when you're learning a language because, look, you're trying to learn a system of speaking that people use to express all the complexity of the human experience. They can do it whether it's in French or whether it's in Spanish or Japanese or Yoruba or Scandinavian is not a language, but Norwegian is, and Icelandic. Like every single language that exists in the world, even the most obscure one that only 3 people speak, has the capability to express all the complexity of the human experience. And you're trying to learn that. It's a big deal. So anything that you can do to make your learning enjoyable is worthwhile. So if you are a lover of literature, take the time to find your reading level. It'll change the way you learn. So thank you for tuning in. If you like what you've heard, hit the subscribe button below, hit the little bell, hit all the things down there, and we'll see you again soon.